Yo, what's happening, people? It's your boy Michael Griggs, and welcome back to Griggs Talks, where we talk all things sports. And today, of course, you guys can tell from the title, the background. Here to talk about Man United. New show. I'm gonna call it the Red Corner. Title, the name to be determined later. That's what we're gonna stick with right now. And to talk about it, I have two people. If you guys are here, have been here from day one. They were my first two ever guests on my first ever video on the channel.
Yeah, mad.
That was over a year ago now. That was when I was still in college. Yeah, my first two guests. First of all, we have Ty from Never Foul in Trafford Tunnel. I'm sure you guys know him, but how you doing, my guy?
Yeah, bless, man. No. You know what? I don't go on a lot of other people's streams. Not saying that like I don't want to, but you know, life, man. Busy with work, busy with our own channel. Obviously, Never Foul Trafford Tunnel. But no, do you know what? You've always been there for the jump, supporting us as well. So you got to give back as well and help out a brother, man. So it's always good to chop up and talk football with you. And obviously, Sarfo is finally landed, man. Make sure you like the video, people, as well.
Yeah, and our other guests, Sarfo 15. Yeah, if you guys have been OGs. I think we did a podcast a couple times recording wise over to like Spotify and Apple. How you doing, my boy?
I'm good, thank you. We've come a long way since our first audio, innit?
Yeah, that was. We had audio issues back then. Now it's
I actually remember that. I think.
It took a lot of time. So yeah, before we get that though, like Ty said, hit the like button, the algorithm and all that kind of stuff in the comments. Staffy always.
Big up Staffy.
Omar, the Ayo King, because this guy, every sentence he says is Ayo. If you guys know from Staffy TV, pro clubs. JJ, Griggs, and Ty, big up, and big up Sarfo as well. And yeah,
I got to reply, Oski, man. Like I know he says, where are we? We're late.
It was my fault.
You got two black men in here. We're never going to be on time.
It was my fault. Still, it's my fault. I can't remember.
But obviously the title is it time for Ten Hag to go. Let's start with the United. Obviously, we're in the mud right now. Everything is in this negative. The media is on it. Journalists, Athletic, Malk Bell, all the Mirror, the Daily Mail, all that kind of stuff. Let's start with Ten Hag. Obviously, the big debate within the fan base right now is like, do you want him to go or do you want him to like stay with like potential of a new partial ownership group coming in? Where are you with like Ten Hag right now?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think the first big thing, right, and this is, I'm not speaking on behalf of everyone. I think us three are actually strong at this, is you've got to be going with your own mind. I feel like the timeline, I feel like social media can easily wrap people into just thinking something without them actually thinking about it. And one thing about me is I'm going to stay strong to what I think. And right now, I don't want Ten Hag to go. I don't, and I know I think it's probably going to be interesting because I think Griggs, you probably do, but I'll be honest. If I strip it back, like we've got rid of managers in terms of Mourinho, Van Gaal, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and obviously different reasons for maybe them different managers going. But we had a tough start with Ten Hag last year when we lost to Brighton and Brentford. I know it was 2 games, so it's not much compared to the sample of this season. We've lost 5 out of our first 10 home games, worst record since 1930. Champions League's not looking great when that's what we wanted to achieve last year. We got that and now we seem to be fumbling it. But this is the first bit of like real long-term adversity that Ten Hag's faced. And like it reminds me of, I know obviously we spent more money than Arteta, but 18 months ago before Saliba kicked a ball at Arsenal Football Club, Arsenal fans are screaming for Arteta out. Like I remember it was like a minority to be I'm supporting Arteta or saying I still want him in charge. So for me, I want Ten Hag to get through this adversity, because out of all the managers that have come in, he's the one that I'm like, I definitely wanted him. He was my number one choice. I want it to succeed so bad. Like I really do. And I'm not saying because I wanted to succeed so bad, I'm trying to give him extra time. I just feel like, yes, we've gone for a difficult patch, but there's a couple of things that I feel can change and get results back going. I don't feel like, first of all, the players are down tools. That'll be a first thing for me. I know we lost to Newcastle and the players are a bit deflated, but it's not like they're putting in no effort and they're not trying. I think they are. The plan's not quite clear for them at the moment. And I think with Ten Hag, it's his first long-term period of struggling. And if you want to give a manager time or give this manager a serious chance of being good at the job, let's see if we can get through it, because it's not over just yet. And we've got Fulham, Copenhagen and Luton. I might be changing in three games time because obviously our season could be truly in tatters. But I feel like if Ten Hag can make a few tweaks himself, there can be a better outcome or better result from this football club in terms of our matches, because I feel like Ten Hag is doing it to himself a bit. It's not like he's picking the best team, right? And I'm watching this starting 11 every time it gets selected. I'm in a group chat saying, do you know what? I'm really happy with this 11. It's always, why is he starting, or why is he not playing him? I just feel like Ten Hag's in this period right now where he's overthinking everything. Maybe because he's not really been in this sort of difficult situation before. Because obviously he's been at 20 Utrecht and he's been at Ajax where he's been successful. But I just feel like he needs to go back to like what he wants to pick. He's overthinking a lot of things, and a couple of tweaks maybe in this starting 11 can get the wheels turning again. I know it might be sounding too optimistic, but it is bad, but like I think it's not bad enough that I don't think he can't turn it around. That's how I'm trying to word it. I don't know what Sarfo thinks because we've not really spoken on the 10, which we'll probably speak every day. It means we're trying to be like chilled with it. We're like, that's why I said get Sarfo on, because I know he hasn't streamed for a while and he wanted to jump on. So I said shout Sarfo. But I don't think it's got to the point where I'm done. And once you are done, this is the big thing I'll vouch by. Yeah, big up Saeed in the chat as well. He's done. Saeed, I stream with him every week. Saeed's done. And I said to Saeed, if we go and win the next 5 or 10 games in a row, I don't want to hear you saying, yeah, like you creep him back in. No, once you're done, you're done. And that's why I probably hold on a bit too long, because I need to be fully 100% convinced of myself that I don't want this manager at the club anymore. And I'm not 100% convinced that I don't want this manager at the club anymore. So for now, I'm not Ten Hag in. I'm not doing this Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out business. It's Ten Hag, you've got my support for now, but you need to show me something of why I'm supporting you.
That's fair. Sarfo?
It's hard. Like, obviously I support him and I want him to do well. Just echoing on what Ty said, because initially when it was out of him and Poch, I really wanted Ten Hag and I liked everything that sort of he stood for. But where I'm struggling to understand what he's doing is the things he's doing. So like, I think a lot of the things he's doing, or a lot of the things that are going wrong, he's created. So for instance, even down from like tactics to recruitment, like everything is just, it lays on his doorstep. And I feel like he's created a lot of the things that we're seeing. So for instance, against Newcastle, tactically, we knew that going 4-1-4-1 or going man for man against Wolves exposed us really badly, especially when you play with Casemiro as the single pivot. So what does he do? He goes with the same exact approach against Newcastle, a team renowned for running. Like literally athletes all over the pitch. It doesn't matter whether it's the first team, second team, under 18s team, they run. And when you look at sort of the way our team was put together, Casemiro as the deep lying 6, and then you got Mount and then Hannibal as sort of like the high 8s. Things like that. It's common sense. Like, why would you go back to the approach that literally exposed you against on the first day of the season? Like stuff like that, I have no sort of sympathy for, because it's just like how, like if you play with fire enough times, you're gonna get burnt, innit? Like, do you know what I'm saying? So stuff like that is what makes me mad, because he's better than that. He's better than that. But right now he's managing like he's in survival mode. And even touching on recruitment, like anyone in the summer knew, like anyone with a bit of sense knew what we needed in terms of like the profile, personnel, and whatnot. Like when you look at our squad, you've got Casemiro, who's 31, declining physically, and then you've got Bruno, he's not necessarily the best athlete, but he's going to start, and whether we like it or not, like those two are going to be the two of the 3 midfielders. So you get someone that complements them, like in terms of like their profile. So you get someone that's physically dominant, or someone that can sort of contribute on both sides of the pitch, like, or we get someone that's technically secure. He did neither of that. In fact, he brought someone he's probably a left winger and shoved him into central midfield and asked him to do a job. Like I don't think Mason Mount's a bad player in it, but he's been stitched up. He's been badly stitched up, because all of a sudden everyone's gonna look at Mason Mount like, raw, like you're not even half good, and that's not even his fault, because he is a good player. But you literally stitched him up and put him into a situation where he doesn't complement anyone in our midfield. And I've gone as far as to say that like there's no combination in our midfield that works. Like in our entire midfield pool, you can say Amrabat, Mainoo, Mount. No, there's none that works for me. Literally none.
What if I threw Casemiro, Mainoo, and Bruno?
No, I believe there's none that works, and that's why I'm literally pissed off with Ten Hag, because like you knew what you had to do, and like for me as well, yeah. When you look at sort of like the way the game's evolving, especially midfield, Like you need physically dominant players. Like even ball carriers. Like ball carriers make such a big difference. Like you look at Basuma at Spurs, yeah. He may not necessarily be like sort of like he may not necessarily have like the best final pass, yeah, but he can create something by taking 2 or 3 players out of the game.
He does, yeah.
Look at Matthias Nunes at Man City now. Look what he done to us at Old Trafford. He literally just ran through us. Like these players are so key. If you look at Arsenal as well,
look at Willock against us the other day.
Yeah, look at Willock. Like
even their fullback Livramento literally carried the ball up the whole pitch.
If you look at sort of Arsenal, yeah, like they've just got physically dominant players all over the pitch. They're just so physically dominant. Look at Man City, physically dominant. Liverpool, like in their prime, all they did was run. I know it sounds stupid, yeah, but the basics of football, the fundamentals of football is before you can do anything, you must be able to run. If you can't run, you can't do anything. When you mix that with the fact that our players are technically incompetent as well, yeah, that's a horrible mix. So you can't run and you can't play football. So you've gone. So remember what Ten Hag said when he came in. He said he wanted to be front foot, aggressive, possession based. Yeah, I don't mind that. That's fine. Yeah, you've gone pragmatic. You've finished 4th and whatnot. You've got like a year to assess what you want. He's then shifted it and said he wants to go. He wants to become a transitional based side and whatnot. That's fine. I don't mind managers changing their philosophy. Yeah, but if you do that, you've got to bring in people that can execute your plan. Now he's brought in a bunch of players, yeah, that can't do either. They can't play football and they can't transition well. If you look at our attack, you've got Højlund and Rashford. And then after that, yeah, if I asked you who was the best ball carrier after those 2, who would you say? Open question.
I don't know.
I'd actually say ball carry, even though I don't think he takes on his man. Anthony can ball carry, but he doesn't take on his man.
You think Anthony?
In the first phase, he can kind of.
That's how bad it is. I'm not saying Anthony's good at it.
He's better at ball carrying from the first.
That's how bad it is.
He's not good, but that is the 3rd best, and he's not good.
My answer would have been probably Diogo Dalot, and he's a right back.
Yeah,
that's how shocking we are. If you look at like sort of like other teams, yeah, they've got ball carriers or people that can run all over the pitch. Like Anthony will run like 5 yards, stop.
Yeah, it's a 20 yards max because he's burnt out.
Like, do you know what I mean? So now we've got a bunch of players that can't play football and can't transition well, and
so that is on Ten Hag though, because ultimately he's not bought players for his plan for this.
Exactly, season. And that's why like as much as I like him, yeah, a lot of the problems lay with him because it's like
that's what I said. He's shot himself.
It's like he's trying to build a house like with like no water, no gas, nothing, but he's trying to have the plasma on the wall. Like he's got there's nothing there. He ain't got no electric, but he wants to have like the 60-inch TV. Like it's mad. Like he's actually moving mad. So
I think JJ here is making a good point with like any other manager would like change the tactics formation. What like kind of sold me on Ten Hag last year was like he would change formation throughout the season, like especially in build-up play. We'll do the 3-1-6 at times against like a low block, but against other opposition, we do like the 3-2-5 or 2-3-5, whichever way was kind of multiplying. And I think that system would benefit this team more because especially when you don't have like your build-up guys in Lissandro.
Right, Mike, I don't know if it's mine, but your connection is bugging.
No, it's fine.
Sarfo, is his connection bugging?
I think no.
Oh, it must be mine. It might be mine. Sorry, Mike. Carry
on. So I think like Ten Hag is like I think Sarfo said it. He's building like I said this last year. This summer, his opportunity was to determine what team he wanted, and he can't get stuck in between styles. And for me, he's still stuck in between styles because if you compare the 2 summers, they're completely just contrasting in profiles. You went Anthony one summer, right? That's your ball playing right winger. He's meant to be in a possession based system. And a year later, you completely go away from that, and then you bring in Mason Mount, who cannot really play in a possession-based team at a high level, especially in midfield. Maybe on the wing a little bit better, because for me, Mason Mount's a wing fielder. Like he can play like in that middle half space on either the left or right, but in the middle of the park, he cannot be utilized there. So I don't understand what he wants to do, and that's why for me and Ten Hag, I'm not fully Ten Hag out. Like where like I'm demanding like Said's for me, like Ty said, Said's 100% done with him. I'm at like 85%, I'll say.
What if we lose tomorrow?
Nah, I'm not gonna. Even I don't think we could lose tomorrow. I feel like because I'm gonna give him some like break with like the defense because our defense right now, I don't think we've played the same partnership for more than 3 games in a row this year, which is never helpful. Because for me, if your defense isn't stabilized, you're gonna struggle. no matter what your midfield is, no matter what your attack is, if you don't have a balanced defense, it's cooked for you. We see at City. That's why Pep has bought 855 top defenders, because he knows what if he has injuries in defense, he could plug someone else in that's at a high level, and it'll keep the balance of the team the same. Arteta, we saw with Arsenal when Saliba got out, when Holding came in, everything just crumbled.
Yeah.
And with us, it's Leacher now, right? Without Leacher, especially Shaw too. I think Shaw is very crucial, because even if Lissandro went out, you always had Shaw to plug in that left center back.
Yeah, and he was good.
You had that, get that to fall back on, but now it's clipped.
For me, like, what's annoying is that now we've got to rebuild the rebuild. Like, this was meant to be the rebuild, but now we've got to strip down everything once again, and like figure out what we do. But the problem is we don't necessarily have the sort of the resources to do that, because he spent like 400 million. We've got like financial fair play on our necks, and then all of a sudden, like, I find it hard to shift like all these players on like massive wages. Like we saw with Maguire, like he didn't want to go to West Ham because of like he didn't want to lose out on 70k. Although like in theory that's a good move for him, but he's thinking about other things. Like again, same with McTominay. Like we can't sort of move these players on and bring in who we want to because of wages and stuff like that. So it's really frustrating because the rebuild now needs to rebuild itself, and we're going to fall further away from the chasing pack. And it's sad because, like, again, going back to Mason Mount, I remember saying like in summer, like, give it like 12 months and we're going to be calling for another 2 midfielders.
It's the same transfer targets every single year. DM, center back, right wing. It's the same transfer targets for the last 10 years.
You spent 60 million on a premium, like on a midfielder, and he hasn't even improved us significantly. So what are we doing?
And also, what I think the big thing as well is that, you know, Ten Hag said that he wants him to be a very important player. Ten Hag tried going with the Bruno and Mount in the 2-8s. It got found out within 3 games. So the plan that he bought Mason Mount for has literally gone out the window straight away. And what we've seen now is that Mason Mount, you know, has played in sort of the number 10. Bruno's gone out wide on the right-hand side, which I don't like anyway. But just before the last international break, I wouldn't say Mount was brilliant, by the way, but I'm saying that it was 2 of his better performances since he arrived. And then what happened is that Mason Mount hasn't seen any minutes since that international break. He then gets expected to come in, obviously, against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. Like Mark mentioned, an athletic team, despite some of the players being rotated. And he can't fit in. And at the moment, now Ten Hag is struggling to find a way to fit Mason Mount in because his plan A, which he executed him for, or what he signed him for, has gone out the window. So he's kind of stuck already now because that was his integral signing. We can't sit here and say Sofiane Amrabat was, because he was alone near deadline day. Mason Mount was the one that he said 65 million. This is the player I want to get in. And it's not worked in the first month. He's kind of technically given up on it, you could say, but it has definitely not worked. And now we're stuck because we've got Bruno, who is the captain, and he's going to play. But for me, he's an effective outside on the right-hand side. And it's either you play Bruno centrally or you bench him. Well, he's not going to bench him. But if he wants to fit Mason Mount in, that means Bruno goes out on the right. So for me, it's all a bit of a car crash, because what I think he's done now is Ten Hag has never been a transitional coach. The thing is, right, if I go to a job interview, this is how I look at it, right? And I said this the other day on Never Foul. If I go for a job interview, they're going to ask me what I've done at my old place, and they're going to ask me questions about my successes and what makes me a good consultant or whatever it is, right? If I then go to that job and I get the job there, and all of a sudden everything I was good at that other job, I then just change and I start doing all different things, and they're like, Ty, it's not working. We got you because, you know, you've done this and this, we've worked you before and so forth. They're going to be asking me questions. Now, for me, Ten Hag come in last year, and I'll be honest, yes, we got top 4. And yes, we got Champions League and won a trophy and got to the Carabao Cup final, FA Cup final, sorry. But I can't give you more than 5 games. I thought, in my eyes, we played really well. I thought we got results. Our home form, yes, we won like 16 out of the 19 league games, whatever it was. But I never was like people saying Fortress. You know, he's got Ten Hag back winning all the games at Old Trafford. I was like, I never jumped on that hype. I was like, yeah, we're winning games at home, but I still definitely think we're beatable. We're definitely gettable. Like, if teams turn up, that's what I personally thought. And then what he's done now, he said that he wants to go into transition football. So basically, he's gone away from what he done at Ajax because he said he can't play it here. That can be misconstrued at times. I will defend him in the sense that, yes, he's Dutch, because he said, I'm not going to play a Ten Hag football. People think, oh my God, he's not going to play Ten Hag football at Man United. It might be because the league's different. It's quicker here. It's more physical. He has to adapt his ways. But what I think he's done is that he's adapting his ways so much. He's effectively learning a new style of football on the job. And I don't think you can afford to kind of do that at Manchester United. Yes, if you want to change your style of play, cool. But at least, have some substance of where you might have done it before or where you're clear with your ideology, because you've gone from one way of football last year, which was okay and successful, to then this year, you've got your rivals that have improved. You now want to change your style of play. The rivals are getting better. We're not getting results. And I don't think the message from Ten Hag to the players is that clear. If I'm struggling, and us as Man United fans are struggling to quote his press conferences, or people are debating whether he meant it this way or not, imagine how his methods are coming across to the players. So for me, I just think it's, if the message is not clear to the players, they're not getting it. And also Ten Hag effectively is learning a new style. As he said, he wants to change it into a transition team on the job at Man United, and it's not working. And now he's like looking at himself in the mirror, discussing with his missus at night, I could get sacked if I don't do X, Y, and Z. So now he's thinking, do you know what? Do I have to change or do it this way to get a result? But it's not what he wants to do. He's getting tugged everywhere, but he's kind of made himself get tugged everywhere. And I think a lot of these little mini factors I've just put in, connection with the players, communication, now learning a new style of play. He bought Mason Mount in the first 4 games. It hasn't worked. And now we've got to try and fit them in. It's all mishmash. I can have my chicken, I can have my rice, I can have my curry goat, my mac and cheese. But if I'm having mac and cheese with spaghetti bolognese, it's not going to taste nice. So I've got loads of different pieces of food, but I haven't got them all on the same plate. And that's what I think's happening right now.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's very weird because like he's literally brought in like several different players here for just different things. So for instance, if you bring in Andre Onana, a ball playing goalkeeper, effectively the technical standard of your team has to be at a certain level. Like nobody brings in a ball playing goalkeeper to a team that can't play football. That's facts, because literally it's everything starts from the goalkeeper if he's a ball playing goalkeeper. You look at sort of like the centre backs, Leacher, brilliant ball playing centre back. Varane, decent, like he's decent. He's not amazing, but he can play football.
He's actually underrated for that.
Yeah, underrated. And then you sort of look at Luke Shaw, another one that's underrated. Then you look at Delo, decent. Yeah. And then it's just like, when you go like further forward, and that's where the problems become. Like you got your number 6 in Casemiro, where he's inconsistent with his ball playing ability. Like, so for instance, he can hit a Hollywood pass, he can hit a diag, but under pressure, can he keep it? Can he sort of like play? Can he sort of like hit an average of a pass accuracy of 90% week in, week out? No. Can Bruno Fernandes do that? No. So then all of a sudden,
can McTominay do that? No, because you don't pass.
And then you got Anthony, decent in possession, but that's all it is. And then you got someone like Marcus Rashford, who he's very much a
final third player, I say.
He's a maverick, so you don't know what you're going to get with him. Sometimes technically he's great, sometimes technically he's atrocious.
But you want him getting the ball up there, not here.
So it's just like when I watch us, there's like no chemistry, there's no cohesion, and it's just like it's so frustrating to watch. So because it's just like, why have you put this team together? Like what is like the thinking behind it? And now we're in a situation where if I'm being honest, I can't see us winning like back-to-back games like we did last season, because the chemistry and the makeup of our side is so wrong and so poor. Like, I just have no faith. Like I said, when I look at our midfield pool of players, right? How do you look at that midfield pool and say, right, I want to become a transitional side? You look at McTominay, good athlete. Okay, fair enough. Casemiro, no. Bruno, no. Who else is there? Hannibal, he's not really going to get a look in. Not really. Mason Mount, not really. Like, how do you look at that selection of midfielders and say, yeah, I'm become a transitional side? Like, these things are like, it's so mind-boggling. That's why, like, I want him to succeed, but he's just shooting himself in the foot, man.
Yeah, but a simple thing, Mark, like, I'm not saying it would have made the whole world of difference. The fact that our arch rivals, Liverpool, went and signed someone like Gravenberch, that stuff there really annoys me, because you've got a ball carrier there, you've got a physical player there, 22 years of age. Yes, it didn't work out at Bayern, but you've got someone that at one signing could Szoboszlai. Yeah, like when you look at what Liverpool have done in their midfield, how you said the Liverpool of old, and you know that was the Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum in their prime. I'm not saying that they've completed that yet, but when you've got Szoboszlai now and Gravenberch, McAllister's getting out positioned at the moment. He's doing a job in there, but he's not going to play there long term. If they get another number 6, they've basically got that midfield back again, and it just shows actually if you use your IQ and just get a couple of right players in, it can change the whole midfield, and that's what Liverpool have done right now. And it actually annoys me that I have to watch them do that, and their fans saying Gravenberch this, Szoboszlai this, because I'm not saying we would have got them players, but we could have got something of the like.
Yeah, and when you think of it, they only like between the three of them, it only cost about what 110 million or something like that.
I know
that's basically a fraction of what we spent. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like
that's the Mountain Ronaldo money right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, yeah, and that is that.
Yeah, so it's like it's really hard to sympathize with Ten Hag because like. Even for instance, even when you look at the right back situation, yeah, like I think Delo, like I think I've given Delo a lot of like enough time to assess how good he is. I think he's decent, but I don't think he's good enough.
He's mid. He's just a definition of mid.
Like he's just okay. And then you look at Wan-Bissaka, he's just never going to be like a top class fullback in it, yeah. So when you look at those two, yeah, you think okay, let's get upgrade, and then like you hear the stories of who he wants to bring in, like Jeremy Frimpong, like how do you look at those two and then think Frimpong's an upgrade on both of them? How?
He's not even a right back. He's a right wing.
This is what I'm saying. Like the makeup of our squad and the people that we want to bring in here just makes no sense whatsoever. And it's just like it's so hard because it shouldn't be this hard. It's actually so easy. Like it's literally so easy. Like I know like we're fans in it and like we only see like half, maybe like a fraction of what these managers and sort of like recruitment people see it, but it's not that hard. I tell you that now, it's not that hard. Like, especially at Manchester United, when you look at like all our deficiencies, like it's really not that hard. But of course, we don't have the people in place to make these decisions, and it's been loads of bad decisions on top of bad decisions, and it's sort of manifested into what we're seeing now.
Yeah, I think JJ here said the thing with ETH is I would give him time if he had decent talent ID, but giving him another window means we're replacing scrubs with even worse players. I think even with talent ID doesn't always have to mean the transfer window. You could even talk about talent ID within the squad. Like Scott McTominay behind the striker makes no sense to me. When like you have Donny Van de Beek, who you guys both know I don't rate that highly anyways. Yeah. At least you know he's a proper number 10. He's someone that understands the role of a number 10, the spatial awareness of a number 10, where to go. And like at least use him as a proper number 10. Scott McTominay just got put there because he scored 2 goals randomly against Brentford. Which for me, that's poor talent ID. Putting Bruno on the right wing is poor talent ID when he hasn't given you a full 90 minutes good performance over there. Playing Marcus Rashford left mid like he's Ryan Giggs in 1999 is poor talent ID because you're taking a person that scored 30 goals last season, the guy that basically carried you to top 3 because without him, I tweeted last year, Rashford might be papering over cracks right now, and that seems to be proven right because if Rashford's not on form, what is Ten Hag's style of play? What is his attacking football? Because this attacking football we're seeing right now includes only 2 GA from our forward, and both of them have come from Marcus Rashford. Haaland is 0-0. Antony is 0-0. Jadon Sancho has played like 1 game. He's 0-0, obviously. Paleshi, when he came in, he didn't contribute. All our goals are scored from our midfielders and defenders, like with Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea in 2020. Like where our forwards aren't scoring. So for me, that's poor talent ID. And that's why like I would like I think JJ said like if this under this current regime, let's say Ratcliffe doesn't come in and doesn't bring in his people, does Ten Hag deserve another summer of money from John Murtough, Richard Arnold? That's the big question. Do you trust Ten Hag with another summer?
No. Like even like when you look at sort of like I know I was talking about before, yeah, but you bring in like Rasmus Højlund there, who's someone that's really good like in the box and whatnot, like sort of like really like he's like an old school forward, isn't it? So he thrives on like sort of like service and whatnot, yeah. You bring him in, and then your wide options that are meant to sort of like supply him are Marcus Rashford, who isn't necessarily a wide man.
He's the inside forward, yeah.
Yeah, and Anthony, who he can't cross the ball until the cows come home. You could give him 100 attempts. 100
hits the first man all the time.
It hits the first
man or roll M.
Like 100 attempts, yeah, and it's either gone into roll Z. He's gonna hit the first man.
Yeah.
Or the alternative option is to shoot and he's gonna roll it into the keeper's hands. Like how is a forward meant to score on that service, that type of service?
I feel sorry for Højlund actually.
Like literally, any decent chance he gets here, he's probably created it half. Like he's probably half created it. Like this is what I'm saying about sort of like the way we put our teams together, or the way we've put our team together. It's just like so amateurish, and it's going to be a long season, lads. It's literally going to be a long
Do you
season.
know what? Yeah, I want to ask. I mean, Griggs, like when you hear the like reports of the players' unrest which have come out since the Manchester Derby defeat and obviously the Newcastle game, the fact that Ten Hag has had the money, Ten Hag's brought these players in. Like I feel like it's the first time it's fully like managers had a lot of power. Like Ten Hag wanted this power as well. Like we saw when he first got appointed, he wanted control of transfers. He's had that, and it's not worked. That also makes me, if I was a player, let's say we're Man United players, I know that this manager is the one that brought these players in. So it's not like the club have brought these players out when Mourinho was manager and he wanted a centre back and he never got him an XYZ. And it's like, okay, do you know what? The manager's working with what he can. No, Ten Hag's working with what he wanted. So that makes me as a player, I think, you know, I question it even more. So when I'm hearing reports, I know people might say, oh, it's not true and stuff like that of, you know, players unrest and are not happy with this, the way this situation was dealt with and stuff. I think because of the power Ten Hag's actually had, that makes some of it true because I know that he's the one making the decisions rather than the he says or the board says this or, you know, there's examples. There actually is conclusive that I feel like Ten Hag wanted these players. He spent this money because you know by the Martinez and Nana, the players have got in. If another manager isn't going to get them players, simple as that. They're getting their own players. So what do you think on like the players unrest? Do you think there is a bit of a split coming?
Yeah, I think there is. I think the fitness thing that came out this week, I think has been going on for a minute. I don't think players are happy with the training methods at all. I think like even from preseason, like he managed that poorly because I went to the Arsenal game right here in New York.
Oh yeah,
Arteta had his starters playing 70 minutes by that preseason game, right? Our starters were just getting introduced into the starting 11 by that game. So just think about how far ahead Arsenal were already than us fitness-wise. Their starters were playing 70 minutes. Bruno Shaw. Lissandro was playing from the first preseason game because he was injured from last year. But most of our starters had just gotten in and had 45 minutes. And then you had the next game against Madrid. He only gave them again 45 minutes. And then we saw I think it was after that, Dortmund, where they played the last like 30 minutes and it looked shocking. Rashford for me had like the worst preseason I've ever seen. I'm like, and I was concerned, but then he scored the 2 goals against Lens. You're like, okay, maybe he's starting to pick up again. But even in that Lens game, that first 45, I know Lens are a Champions League team, but like it just looked shocking from preseason. So from preseason, there was a worry. Sarfo mentioned the Wolves game, which was atrocious performance. We just looked completely unfit wise. You have all the muscle injuries. Luke Shaw, an injury that was meant to be probably like a month, 6 weeks, is going to be like 4 months come this month. Like he's been out for already almost a quarter of the season. So for me, it's like these players have a right to be mad at the manager fitness wise because I think there's a miscommunication between the club doctors and the coaching staff when it comes to training because these muscle injuries are not normal. I know like other teams have injuries, but I know we played a lot of games last year, which means as a manager and as a doctor staff, you should probably take it a little less in training. But it seems like we're doing a lot of heavy intensity press, like with Liverpool, but we don't have the inhalers like Liverpool did. Yeah. So allegedly, so it's just like I think the players have a right. The Sancho Maguire stuff, I don't really care about that. I think as you're grown men, you really shouldn't really be like causing. I know Sancho might be your friend and stuff like that, but he also did attack his manager publicly. Like he said the scapegoat stuff like that. He needs to hold like his punishment, I guess. I know I don't agree with all the punishments, but he made his own bed at that point. Maguire, he took his captaincy away because he wasn't a starter. You can't have a captain that's a starter, in my opinion. Like your captain has to be a starter of your team. That just has to be it. He could be like a vice captain, maybe. Like that's fine. But as a main captain, he deserved to have his armband ripped. And he also wanted to leave. And he don't want to leave fully. But if the Chelsea or Spurs came in for him, he would have dipped, in my opinion. But West Ham, even though they're a Europa League club and they've been good this season, he don't want to make that move. Maybe before Euros. Maybe he figured if I stay at United and I have a good Euros, I can maybe secure a better move. So for me, I think players have the right to be angry with him when it comes to maybe like intensity, like the training sessions, because from what I've heard, he doesn't even oversee all our training. It's like mostly like Van der Gag, the assistant coach that like oversees the training. So for me, like Ten Hag, now is your time to actually do the training. Go on that grass and tell players what to do. Because for me, we all know in 2023, system is king. That's the model in football these days. Your system is king. It's not the early 2000s where you have a bunch of individual quality. And some teams these days do have that individual quality, but we do not have that individual quality. Our players need coaching, and they're not getting that right now because for me, especially I think it was the Copenhagen game. That first 45 minutes, I don't think a single player on that pitch knew where they were meant to be. they just look completely lost. And at that point, I can't blame the players. At that point, if all 11 players are doing badly, it's on the coach. We said the same thing under Ole. When our players look bad, we said Ole didn't know how to coach. And I know Ten Hag has this reputation of being a great coach, but right now for me, he's not being a good coach because we talked about like he doesn't have the players to suit his Ajax style, but he's not even playing a style catering to our players' strengths. Like I mentioned, Rashford left mid when he was a left winger playing inside the box most of last season. You're not making him be a creative playmaker, which has never been his style. You took Bruno, who's one of the best chance creators in Europe. You shoved him on the right-hand side where he has to be more of a dual winner. He has to have better ball carrying, which he's one of the worst ball carriers in Europe when you look at statistics. You have that. You have Casemiro, who's aging and played a lot of minutes last season. You have him as a lone pivot where he has to cover all the ground in the world. Now he's injured and he's out for 3 months now, apparently, like that hamstring injury that he picked up today or a couple of days ago. You have Lisandro Martinez, who's known to not be the best at defending wide channels, and he's coming off an ankle injury that he was rushed back from, and you're having him defend all these channels. He re-aggravated his injury. So it's like at some point you gotta say he's mismanaging his players right now, which is why I feel like when people say like they want him out, do I think he's a good coach? Yes. Do I think he could fix this a little bit? Yes. I think there's a system out there where he could just be like last season. He has to be a little bit more pragmatic now. I know people want to see his style, but with these group of players, I don't think his vision kind of matches with them. I think there needs to be another summer, but that next summer he cannot be in charge. It has to be with a new recruitment team. And if it's going to be the same recruitment team next summer with Arnold and Murtaugh, then you're better off just sacking him for his sake and our sake, because he's gonna have all that power again. He's gonna crumble under the pressure because on Wednesday that looked like a man that was drowning, and he needs someone to dive into that water and pull him out.
Yeah, he looked empty, man.
Like, he just gives that same facial expression.
Yeah,
he gives that same
he's
facial
clueless. Like he does this thing, where like he looks like there's nothing going on in his brain. Yeah,
if he does this, it's peak. When he does this thing, it's like stress.
He's like chews his gum weird and that,
and then he pulls out like a pad and pen, and he's scribbling nothing. Let's be honest, he's scribbling nothing. He's just trying to look busy.
He looked lost. Like he was watching them plays after the third goal and Willock scored, and he was just looking around, and it was just empty. And I said this the other day. Something was interesting. When someone was at the game, they said that the ball went out of play, and a Newcastle player was down injured or something like that. Maybe in the second half. Maybe I think Lewis Hall had cramp. Lewis Hall had cramp, and we're 2-0 down at that point. And Eddie Howe got the players together, like rallied them together. You know when you go to the dugout and it's like you have a little team talk or whatever. They were saying in the crowd that like Ten Hag done nothing, sat in his chair. Players were just out there clueless, just looking at themselves on the pitch. And it's just little things like that Eddie Howe was 2-0 up, playing with his B team with half of the players obviously coming on in the second half. But the fact that he's 2-0 up at Old Trafford and he's getting the players together and rallying them and saying, right, this is the plan, this is how we're going to see out the last 20 minutes. But you've got us 2-0 down. We need something. And Ten Hag is not even rallying the players to try and make an adjustment or make a tweak. He just thinks whatever his plan was at halftime is just going to keep working. Let's just keep ticking away and we're going to chip away and score. It doesn't work like that. And the fact that you haven't even got that sort of authority of that command to say, you lot, right, come here, last 20 minutes, just show us something. Even if we don't come back, at least the fans are not walking out the stadium thinking you just sat there, because the fact that you've done that in front of 75,000, in front of Eddie Howe rallying his players and getting them together, and you're just sitting there in the dugout, players, you can imagine, hands in their pockets, just talking amongst themselves. It just doesn't, these little things, when things are not going your way, are not good. When you're winning games and it's smooth, cool. People ain't going to complain. It's not stuff that people pick up on. But, when things are not going your way, do the basics. If I'm not doing well at my job, and then I start turning up late 3 days in a row, it's getting picked up on. If I'm smashing it, they're not really saying much. If I start taking hour and 10-minute lunches instead of an hour, they're little things, but they're getting picked up on. And it's the same way the other way around. And these little things here are what's grinding me, because like I said to you, I just feel like Ten Hag is definitely doing it to himself. And how I look at it now, going into the rest of we've got Fulham, we've got Copenhagen and Luton. On paper, Osman would be sitting there saying, on paper, we win them 3. That's 3 from 3. I can't look you, man, in the eye and say, yo, we're winning 3 from 3. Because 1, I don't know what Man United's turning up. 2, I don't know how we're scoring goals at the moment. We've got 1 attacking goal in the Premier League from our forwards this season. And manager right now, I just don't know where his head's at. So if I don't know where all their heads at, how can I know where my head's at? And this is the problem for me. I don't know if we're delaying the inevitable. This is the thing. Like all us 3 have sat here. None of us have said Ten Hag out yet. But we're thinking, if he makes a few changes, or we're hoping based on this, like But the truth is, we might beat Fulham, but I'm not saying, yeah, this is sustainable, this and that. I need to see performances. I need to see a pattern. I need to see something that's not saying to me, right, okay, we beat Fulham, go and draw to Copenhagen and beat Luton, go to international break, and then we've got the run of Villa, Liverpool, Chelsea, and we just Bayern, and we just hit the flat boards again. It can't just be, win one game, play shit, basically. So I don't want to swear on your stream, but play SHIT, and then, we lose the next game. Then we win again playing. We need something tangible. This is the big word I'm using. Tangible. I need something I'm connected with. I'm watching Ange coming at Spurs. I'm not trying to compare, but I'm just saying it. Ange, Spurs. Even if they lose on the weekend when they play Chelsea, the Tottenham fans are happy because they know what they're seeing every week. They know what the plan is. Chelsea, they're not scoring goals, but they get into that final third and you can see what they're doing. Arsenal City are Arsenal City. Liverpool, energetic football. And I look at Newcastle in the same category as Liverpool. You know what you're getting. Unai Emery, crap record away from home, but at least you can see what he's trying to do with this 4-4-1-1 Diaby, banking in and then going and accelerating in behind Watkins. You can see something. With us, can't see anything. Honestly, it looks like what I said in a tweet yesterday. Usman are in PE. I'm captain. Sarfo's captain. And I'm like, yo, Griggs. And he's like, Richard. And I'm like, Jerome. He's like, Tyler. And you're literally just putting a few players together and hoping that the best 11 is going to win because you got the man them.
I think JJ makes a point. Like, no charisma. I think, he has no charisma. There's no, we've had charismatic managers before. Like, we had Van Halen, we had Jose, right? And even our players still fall out with them.
At the moment, the Dutch is Dutching. I'm seeing the Dutch.
I think, yeah. See with that, yeah. I think it's a bit exaggerated because we've seen it many times, sort of last season where he can have a joke and whatnot. He can crack a smile. But I think right now, yeah, when you're losing or when you're not winning, everything's bad. Everything. So for instance, today he's having to talk about his philosophy and whatnot. Yeah. Had he done that last season, we'd all be lapping it up and saying, "Oh, what a great manager! He sounds amazing. He's wrote the book of how to play football." Now we're just you're just saying words for the sake of saying words. You're saying things, but it's just not. It's not resonating. So it's just when things aren't going on, when it rains, it pours, basically, innit? And right now, he's got to find a way to stop the leak stop the rot, I should say, because it's not looking great, and I can't see how it's going to get better. When I look at the squad, I don't see sort of any person any in-house solutions or people even saying Kobe Mainoo and whatnot. I would not want to put him in this environment. Not a chance.
Can they get any worse?
Even Rasmus Højlund, yeah. I was just there before. I was just bruv, he's not going to get infected by any of the toxic, the bad environment and whatnot. Now he looks like he can't even put the ball in the back of the net.
He looks apologizing after Manchester Derby within 5 minutes on Instagram. We already broke the kid. I think when Mainoo is tough though, because you could say you don't want to put him in, but that kind of young energy that he could bring in can spark a whole team. And we all know how much these players
he's the most balanced 8 in the squad.
And these players love him. They're always in his comments.
Yeah, he's the most balanced guy. He's actually at
well rated. So.
He's the most balanced.
Bro, him and Dengor are 2 best midfielders. And if we're being honest, in terms of being technically sound, they could do a job. Even Dengor against Palace in that Palace game, the cup match, he dropped the shoulder a couple of times. I haven't seen any of our midfielders drop the shoulder. They don't know how to do that. I've seen Warren, but PSG too. Zaire Emery, that's the midfielder that we lack right now. That ball carrying that I talked about earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
You can tell the physicality. I think Mainoo can bring that, but I do sense this toxic environment is always tough to bring a young kid in. Even I think Ragnar did it with Elanga. That's the last time he brought him into that situation. But even then, it was less toxic than it is now because it looks.
He was really interim. You kind of
it was interim. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know what the worst part about it is that funny enough, I see it come out, but I got told yesterday that Man City are sniffing for Kobe. I'm not saying they're going to get him, but and then a couple reports come out today, and I was like, because he's got the same agent as a couple of the City players. But I'm not saying he would go there, but the fact that, just that little bit of noise in the background, that frustrates me because even the fact that Man City might be sniffing, if they feel like they've got any chance of getting him, I don't even like that they've got the feeling that they feel like they can get one of our main players coming through the academy. So I don't think they will get him, but the fact if your rivals feel like they can sniff for that, and he's a professional now. It's not like you get your Darren Fletcher's twins and the under 16, under 15, you nab a few players. That happens, but not at senior level. For me, I'm throwing Kobe money in there. I am. I think
I would too.
I would because for me, Sarfo, no matter what happens, if he does play and he doesn't, and the team don't win, I know Kobbie Mainoo is a good player. It's not going to change my opinion. Whereas I look at Anthony, I look at Bruno Rashford, I know what their frustrations are or like their deficiencies are. Kobbie Mainoo, I know that the world is oyster in the future. And I feel like at the moment, I look at Eriksen. He is one of the most competent eights in our squad, but he can only play the last 45 minutes or the first 45 minutes because he's good on the ball. But then you look at Amrabat, he's a 6, but he's not an 8, and it's not fully clicking for him at the moment, which I get. Casemiro, he's probably a player that can play an 8, but he's not good enough on the ball, but he's good at attacking, final third and like arriving on things in the box and stuff like that. Mason Mount's not the 8. We've seen that already. Bruno Fernandes, for me, is just not disciplined enough to maybe be an 8, but he can play there at times. When I look at balance and I look at someone that can ball carry, someone composed on the ball, someone can receive on the half turn, physically strong as well, even though he's only 18, 19, Kobbie Mainoo is the best player for that in this Manchester United squad. And it shows how bad our squad is. Not dissing Kobbie Mainoo, but the fact that I'm here saying, we've got all the names ruled off, even McTominay's and stuff like that, that an 18-year-old is already the best, probably number 8 at the football club. It just shows how bad the club is, not Kobbie Mainoo.
Yeah.
No, it's a problem. I think Jay said people in this talent, we should not have a pound throwing him in. Yeah, you can't get worse. Like,
it can't get worse.
Like,
it's one of those ones where like the glass half full or half empty, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would want him to play, but I'm just not expecting anything to change. No. If that makes sense.
And it's mad. It's like Kobbie Mainoo's our last hope. Look here.
Yeah,
I had to say he's our savior since like August.
November.
I'm like, bro, what is going on? Like so bad, but is what it is. I mean, that's the stage that we got into now. But what else can you say? So
I don't know.
With Ten Hag, so you both are like not Ten Hag out, but you're like the concern.
I'm a game by game basis now. I want to get to the international break.
I think my full point with him is like, it all depends on what happens upstairs. Like, and that's the reason I think no decision's gonna be made soon, because I don't think no one wants to make a decision when the upstairs is so uncertain. But like, I'm seeing the names that I was mentioned yesterday. You have Zidane, who will not touch this club with no chance of him anywhere. He's not even coming to the country of England, let alone Manchester.
What are your thoughts on Ruben Amorim? I feel like you might be a fan.
I am a fan, but then you're looking at this is my issue with Man United. Every single manager we go after the one we just had, is the complete polar opposite. This is a manager that only plays 3 at the back, so we're gonna have a full squad overhaul again. Like, we're gonna have to get wing backs in. That's where Frimpong comes in. That's when you go get Frimpong if you have a Ruben Amorim. Then you're gonna need center backs again, because you need 2 wide center backs. I don't think Leach can play a wide left center back, in my opinion, because he doesn't have the legs for it. His height, that's where his height makes him like lackluster in that area. You need physical dominant midfielders because you have a pivot. It's like he plays in the pivot because it's a 3-4-3. Then you're gonna need wingers that know how to play in the half spaces. Like his last winger at Sporting is Pedro Goncalves. He's a great pocket player. So Rashford can't do that. That's not his strength, because I'm gonna play similar to how Conte's Chelsea was.
Mason Mount could do that.
Mason Mount could do that, but I think we could better than Mason Mount. You don't want Mason Mount.
Yeah, he won't. No, he won't. But I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm trying to think of players.
That's the position. I think Ahmad can play that right wing example. That right half space. That's why I think. And that's another thing. I think
Bernardo Silva role. Yeah,
I think someone said Anthony. Like his best performance last year came in the 10th. You sign someone that's meant to be a natural right winger, left-footed. Yeah, somehow he's best in central areas. So that's again misprofiling, recruitment poor again. And with Amorim, I think he'll have the same issues as Ten Hag. I think he won't have. He's a good manager from what I've heard, but these players have proven that they could just wreck any manager. They've done it time and time again, and I don't think he'll have the respect of these players. Similar to Ten Hag, like he's unproven in that area. If these guys can disrespect Jose Mourinho, who is one of the top 3 greatest managers of all time, arguably, then what are they going to do with a guy from Sporting? Even though he does have accomplishments, he won the Portuguese league, which is a better league than the Eredivisie, for example. He might even win it this year because Porto and Benfica are struggling. But I like him tactically. But if we get him under this current structure, I think he'd struggle. If you get him like a Paul Mitchell, and like if Ratcliffe comes in, the Ineos and all that, and you give him like a proper sporting director, I think he could work with that. But I think that's when you bring in the Amorim. Other than that, if it's this current structure, I have no idea who he's going to go for. I don't want De Zerbi, by the way. I think that's the most easy flop choice you could ever make. I think he'll come into this club and he won't even last a year. He'll just easily flop. I think he's gonna have like a tantrum with the manager, with like the owners, because he's very vocal. De Zerbi, so it won't work. Conte, absolutely no chance. I would go anywhere near Antonio Conte. Zidane, I already said no. What other managers do you really have? There's another bald Dutch guy in the Feyenoord's manager, Arne Slot, but that's the same issues you have with Ten Hag.
Yeah.
So it's basically repeating.
I think the other ones are probably just Graham Potter,
Pot,
hands
yeah.
flick.
Yeah, I feel
Hansi
like
Flick, by the way. United Twitter needs to stop because I tweeted yesterday. I'd rather bring Ole back than hire Hansi Flick because
I'm not a big Hansi Flick man either.
I think he'd crumble. This guy won the Champions League. Good for him, but like
I definitely feel like Jim Ratcliffe would like someone like Graham Potter. I feel
know,
like
that's the issue.
yeah, and I feel like that's someone he'll probably be eyeing up. But that being said, yeah, this whole Ineos thing is probably given Ten Hag more time than he would have gotten if there was no sort of ownership sort of struggle. Like, I feel like because Richard Arnold and Mercer don't necessarily know where their job is whether it's secure or not, they can't go and make huge changes and sack Ten Hag because they may not have a job in 2 or 3 weeks' time, let alone like have the power to sack Ten Hag. So this is like sort of like save Ten Hag.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's like that's why I said I think I tweeted that yesterday too. I'm like, he's gonna have I think Graham Potter makes sense because Graham Potter has shown that he can work under like a stable regime at Brighton. Like he had them guys making the choices, and from what I've heard is Ineos is gonna have that power. They're basically gonna overhaul that whole recruitment staff. I think he wants apparently Ratcliffe wants a sporting director to determine everything at the club, even style of play, which is always dangerous in my opinion. Because what if the sporting director fails and you have to change again your whole playing style? That's the issue with Man United. Is like I always wanted with Ten Hag, even if Ten Hag fails, I wanted him to provide a style of play that we can follow on to the next manager.
Yeah, I get you.
And give us a bunch of players that can transition well, like how Brighton Potter ended up getting Potter left, right? But then they had they could bring in a manager that could fit in right well with De Zerbi, and he just elevated those players to a different level because he's a better manager than Graham Potter. I always wanted with Ten Hag, even if he fails, the next manager is going to be ready and he might be an upgrade and he knows how to coach these players. If a new manager comes in, these players are mixed match in terms of profile and what style of play they can play. Because our next manager might not even like Lisandro Martinez. We might like Lisandro Martinez, but the next manager might say, I want a much taller center back. I want a physical center back. Casemiro, they're going to be like, this guy's 31 years old. I want a younger DM. Varane, they might even want a better center back than Varane. Obviously, Varane's box defending and defending in general is one of the best in the world, but his ball playing ability is mediocre, slightly above average, in my opinion. Right back, they're going to be looking at that, giving you right back ASAP. Luke Shaw, they might say injury history. They might look at his injury history. I can't depend on him. Bruno Fernandes, there might be a manager that says absolutely not because his ball retention.
Yep, Anthony's a no.
I don't think any manager will like Anthony. Rashford, we all love him, but a manager might want a more technically secure left winger. Hoyland, I think any manager would like because of his profile, that kind of profile you want in a striker. But it's there's a bunch of players that not a lot of managers want, which means another overhaul. The money's already getting drier and drier and drier. I don't think we can. I think for the first time we can't pay our way out of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you know what? I know I've got to make a move in a sec. I want to see. Just both you can answer. What would you go with tomorrow? By the way,
lineup: Onana, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire, Reguilon. Oh my god, this defense sucks so bad. Amrabat, Manu, Bruno, Rashford, Hoyland, Anthony. When's Ahmad back?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. Do you know what? I'm about with the same actually. Just apart from I don't mind if Dallo or Reguilon play at left back because I know they both can.
I forgot that. Yeah, put Dallo left back. Regular.
Yeah, I can play Dallo left back.
I get that guy in my team.
But yeah, I'm happy with Amrabat, Manu, and Bruno. That would have been my midfield as well. So yeah, I don't really change that team to be honest.
Are you waiting on me?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I can't make any changes. Look at our squad. That's shit.
Yeah.
Bro, honestly, right now, when I'm looking at starters, I think Hoyland is the only player that I would like. Onana, Hoyland, Varane when he's fit are the only players I guarantee starters from me right now.
For me, yeah, I probably got 90% of the squad. If I was to keep players for the next manager or whoever, or just the next squad, the next rebuild, I'm only keeping Onana, Varane, Hoyland, Manu, Rashford. That's it, really. Am I missing someone? Martinez, sorry. Martin. Yeah, that's it. Everyone else can go.
I think with Licha, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if an offer of like 60 mil came in for him somehow, I'd actually take it.
No, I just like physically. I just like front foot aggression in it. I know, like he's like vertically he's quite challenged in it, but like I just like front foot aggression, and no one else gives me that. Like when I see him, like when he's paired with Varane, and like they're both fit and on top of their game. There's a security that I haven't felt from a Man United defense in a very long time. But that being said, I do think we need to bring in a couple more centre backs just for like in terms of like depth and like rotation.
Hopefully, we get that Branthwaite kid from Everton. I really
He's
want
looking
him.
good, man.
Yeah,
I was a bit like, is he all this British hype? Because when you live here in the UK, Mike, trust me, British players can get people, and I'm like, I'm not one of them where I get sucked in. But I was like, do you know what? I watched him against West Ham last week, and I was like, he looks pretty good, man. He's calm on the ball as well. And I spoke to him, funny enough, I've got an Everton season ticket holder at my work, and he goes home, away, and he's in his 50s, like old school. I said, I said, real talk, how much do you rate Brantford? He goes, Ty, I'm just going to give you a sentence, better than John Stones. I was like, okay. Said, Everton fans think he's better than John Stones and potential-wise, so yeah.
I think he's a more physical profile than him, to be fair. Like, defending-wise, I think he could be, obviously on the ball, he probably can't chat to John Stones, but like, defending profile wise, like that physical, because we need physical center backs. That's the first thing we need. We need physical center backs, and we need physical right backs that can win duels. Because
we do.
We need physical players. Full stop.
Amadou Onana, I don't rate him on the ball, but like
the thing is, see someone like Onana, yeah. The problem is if you bring him in, right, and you put him next to Casemiro and Bruno, yeah, it then becomes a thing of, well, because of like the other players' deficiencies, he doesn't improve us well enough. So all of a sudden, it's just like. We're all going back to the same thing of like, he's not technically secure because of who he's paired next to. So it's just a nasty cycle, like a nasty vicious cycle where like we're complaining about sort of like the technical base of the team or the technical base of a part of the team just because everyone else sucks.
Yeah, no. And to wrap it up real quick, predictions for tomorrow. Obviously, we have an early kickoff. I got to be up at 8:30 to watch this team tomorrow. I hate my life. So thank God for daylight savings because you guys went an hour. Like you changed an hour.
Yeah,
week,
yeah.
We're only 4 hours behind this week, so I don't got to wake up at 7:30 for this. That's the only bright side for tomorrow.
Nice. 8:30 is not bad. Yeah, that's actually not too bad. I'm gonna go. Big up guys that are watching, by the way. Make sure you are like the video as well. Big up Staffy. I see JJ and the guys in the comments. So big up you guys for watching. Big up Griggs as well for having us. I'm gonna go. Well, it's United, isn't it? I have 2 scores. I feel like we'll just jam out a 2-1 and we'll just find a way. But also, obviously, 1-1. But I'm going to go with 2-1 United. We have to win tomorrow, man.
I'm going to go... I can't trust us to keep a clean sheet, so I'm going to go 2-1 as well.
Yeah, I think I predicted 2-1 for like the last month. I can't lie. Every single game, that's it. If Andres Pereira scores a winner on me tomorrow, I'm not watching the rest of the season. By the way, I'm canceling every single game for the rest of the season.
Don't say that because now it's gonna happen now.
I don't care, bro. That's terrible. But yeah, thanks for anyone that liked. Saif said we're 3 likes from 20, so make sure you get us to 20. JJ was vocal in the comments a lot of times. Sorry if I missed any of them. My only concern with Jared is his recovery pace. I think he's got decent pace, but I need to see more. That's fair. Depends on like if we bring him in and he plays a very high line. If he plays like an Amarim system where it's a 3 center back, it'll be a lot better. I said we're gonna lose yesterday, but 2-2. A draw and a loss are the same thing for me right these days anyway. So if we lose, if we draw, it's a loss. If we draw, it is what it is. Maybe another show, Kevin. But yeah, in the future, of course. And yeah, thanks for Ty and 15 for coming on. Always, my guys. Obviously, we're gonna try to do more and more as the season progresses. Hopefully, better things come during the season. Hopefully, somehow magic happens and we reverse this. But you never know with United. We're the most only consistency is us being inconsistent. That's pretty much it. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And peace.
Yeah, big up for having us. Big up. Yeah.